Welcome to Barb's Book Spot. Today I'd like to share with you some books that I think would be fun to read aloud with your middle grade classrooms. Sometimes you want a slightly longer book that will carry over several days or maybe even more than a week, so you can extend the story and work with the great plot and the great characters sharing with your students. The first book I'd like to share with you today is A Snicker of Magic. It's by Natalie Lloyd, and it was published by Scholastic in 2014. Felicity Pickle is our main character, and Felicity is about 12 years old. She lives with her mom, she has a younger sister, and the downfall in her life is that they travel all the time. Whenever anything goes wrong, whenever anything seems stressful, Mom just packs everybody up and moves. Well, now they have come back to Midnight Gulch, and she sees a sign on the way into town that says there used to be magic in this town. And when she asks her mom, Mom says, yeah, there was magic here, but the magic was gone by the time I lived here. Well, Felicity's determined to find a way to bring the magic back. The magic in her life as well as the magic in the town. Felicity is a word collector, and if any of you have seen the show Fringe, where you see words hovering in the air above people's heads, well, when Felicity walks around, she can tell people's moods and thoughts by the words that she just sees in the air above their heads. Kind of a magical feeling that she has about people. She's also a bit of a poet. She meets people in the town that help her use her gift, and she finds the magic in her life as well as the magic in her town as the story goes on. I think your middle graders will love this story. Another story about a word collector is Rain, Rain. This is by Anne M. Martin, and it was published by Fiewel Friends in 2014. And this one actually was named for a Schneider Family Book Award. Schneider Family books feature characters who are facing some sort of disability or hardship in their life. The main character, Rose in this story, her dog's name is Rain, she is fascinated by homonyms, and so whenever a word is a homonym, she recognizes that, and then she finds all the matching words. Her name is a homonym: Rose, R-O-S-E, Rose, R-O-W-S. Rain, Rain, her dog. She's a bit obsessed with them. She's identified on the autistic spectrum, and she has Asperger's. She's very high functioning, but she also has difficult time at school. Her salvation is in her following procedures and rules, and her collection of words becomes almost obsessive at times. But it fits into the story with how she herself has to follow rules when she once come to a point. Her dog was given to her by her dad after a big storm, and the dog gets lost. They do find the dog again, but they also find out that the dog has been microchipped and he truly belongs to somebody else. Does she have to follow the rule that says she must give the dog back, or can she keep the dog that she loves so dearly? So I think that you will like Rose Howard, our friend in Rain, Rain. This story is very different than the others. A Greenglass House was published by Clarion in 2014, and Kate Milford is our author. This reminds me of one of the old Agatha Christie locked room kind of mysteries, where everybody's in place, and so you know somebody whodunit has to be in the group of characters that you've met, but you never find out till the end what the actual solution to the mystery is. Our main character here is Milo, a young boy. He lives with his parents in this fascinating old house called the Greenglass House, and it's been identified as a smuggler's inn. Over the years, there's been legendary folk heroes who have come and go from this place, always one step ahead of the customs agents, and always, smuggling in their wares. I'd like to read you just a tiny bit of this story so you can get a feel for it. Milo is adopted. He's Chinese heritage, and he always feels that he would love to know who his real parents are, even though he loves his American parents very dearly. Chapter 1, The Smuggler's Inn. There's a right way and a wrong way to do things if you're going to run a hotel in a smuggler's town. You shouldn't make it a habit to ask too many questions, for one thing, and you probably shouldn't be in it for the money. Smugglers are always going to be flush with cash as soon as they find a buyer for that 8 cartons of fountain pen cartridges that write in illegal shades of green, but they never have the money today. You should, if you're going to run a smuggler's hotel, get a big account book and assume that whatever you write in it, the reality is you're going to get paid in fountain pen cartridges. If you're lucky, you could just as easily get paid with something more useless. Milo Pine did not run a smuggler's hotel, but his parents did, It was an inn, actually, a huge, ramshackle manor house that looked as if it had been cobbled together from discarded pieces of a dozen mismatched mansions collected from a dozen different cities. It was called Greenglass House, and it sat on the side of a hill overlooking an inlet of harbors, a little district built half on the shore and half on the piers that jutted out to the river Skid Rack like the teeth of a comb. So setting is very important in this story. Strange guests start arriving over Christmas vacation when it's usually very quiet. Milo doesn't like surprises, and he doesn't like all these strange guests who all seem to have some piece of history, a notebook, a map, some kind of heirloom that are related to the Greenglass House. And the mystery is, why are they all coming now, and what do all of these things have to do with what's going on in the house? So I think your students will really enjoy this one. Okay, the next book I'd like to share with you is by Cynthia Lord. It's called Half a Chance, and it was published by Scholastic in 2014. Our main character's name is Lucy. She's about 12 years old, and her father is a photographer. So their family is just recently moved to New Hampshire in sort of a lakeshore community. It's kind of a resort community. Most of those around there will go home at the end of the summer, but Lucy and her mom will be staying all year round. Dad travels a lot, and Lucy wants more than anything to win his acclaim, to win his approval. So she's constantly learning how to photograph, taking photographs, sending pictures to him, Skyping with him. What do you think of this? How am I doing? And trying to be the best photographer she can be. And a lot of times all she gets is a, yeah, that's really nice, but maybe next time you'd like to try. So she's constantly trying to earn his further approval. She meets a boy named Nate, and they live in the cottage next door, and Nate's Grandma Lila lives there as well. Nate is helping Grandma Lila to check on the loon population on the lake. She's in charge of the Loon Preservation Committee, but she can't get out in the kayaks and boats anymore. So Nate does this for her, and he takes Lucy along, and they spend a lot of time monitoring the loons, photographing them, and they become very good friends. Now, right in the middle of this summer, a photo contest occurs. Lucy hears about it, and she thinks it would be really fun to enter. There's a list, and on the list are different categories, different ideas, and each participant is supposed to take a picture that fits into that category somehow, explain why their photograph fits, and then there will be a winner chosen for each category. Well, Lucy is dying to enter this contest. She wants to win money so that they can buy a pontoon boat for Grandma so she can get out to see the loons. But she can't enter the contest because her dad's the judge, and so she's in the family. Rules prohibit. So they decide to enter the contest under Nate's name, but they're going to work together to take the pictures. Now, Grandma Lila is forgetful. She's getting old, and one day when Lucy's sitting with her on the porch, she can see Grandma's wandering a bit. She's kind of forgetful. So she hands Grandma a teacup and says, "Tell me again the story about this teacup." And Grandma gets panicked. She can't remember. It's like, you know, that feeling for someone who maybe is beginning Alzheimer's that knows they're not remembering but should, comes over her face. And right at that moment, Lucy takes the picture. She has to decide later whether or not to use that picture in the contest, because it's a truthful picture. It shows the fear and it shows the confusion, but yet Nate doesn't want her to use the picture because that doesn't look like my grandma. That doesn't look good at all. He doesn't like that look on her face. And so they're kind of in disagreement about it. But when it comes right down to it, it's Lucy's picture, and she's going to decide whether or not to use that because she thinks her father will see the truth in it and finally approve of some of her work. So this ethical decision comes in. There are friendships with others around the community, intergenerational relationships, friendships between children their own age. I think this is a great read. There's a lot to think about. And I think one of the most important things that you might want to point out to your students is that there's two ways of looking at things, and Lucy exemplifies that. Sometimes she sees through the lens, and sometimes she forgets to see with her heart. And I think that's what she's trying to balance in her dilemma. Jennifer Holm wrote The 14th Goldfish, and there's a subtitle, Believe in, and the impossible is crossed out, and then possible is there. This is a lot of fun. Jennifer Holm, you might know her from also, she writes the Baby Mouse graphic novels for the younger ones. And she has just a wonderful voice. I love reading her books because her voice just sort of rings in my ears as just as a narrator. The main character in this story is Ellie. She's 11 years old. And one day Mom comes home. Mom's drama teacher at school, and she's lugging this 13, 14-ish year old pimply boy. And she's looking kind of familiar, and Ellie's trying to figure out who that is. And Mom just says, it's your long-lost cousin Melvin. But she didn't have a long-lost cousin Melvin that she knew about. Well, it turns out that it's her grandfather. Her grandfather's a scientist, and he's been working long and hard to find the solution to aging. And it appears he's found it because he seems to have gone back in age. So there's a bit of fantastic going on here. Now he's stuck in this 13-year-old body. He's closed out of his lab because they think he's some punk kid trying to get in. They don't recognize him for who he is. He can't drive, he can't do anything, but he's really 76 years old. His mind is 76 years old. He's got lots of opinions about everybody and everything and wasting your time being a drama teacher and such. So, the relationship between Ellie and her grandfather, the relationship between Ellie and her mother, the relationship between Grandpa and his daughter, who's Ellie's mother, all kind of get thrown into disarray because this person is now the wrong age, but different than they should be, but they have a worldview of somebody very different who's much older. And here again, I'd like to just read you a little bit so you can get a feel for the voice of the narrator. The first chapter is called Goldie. When I was in preschool, I had a teacher named Star Lily. She wore rainbow tie-dye dresses and was always bringing in cookies that were made with granola and flax and had no taste. Star Lily taught us to sit at the snack time, sneeze into our elbows, not eat Play-Doh, which most kids seem to think was optional. And then one day she sent us all home with a goldfish. She got them at 10 for $1 at the pet store, and she gave our parents a lecture before sending us off. The goldfish will teach your child about the cycle of life, she explained. Goldfish don't last very long. I took my goldfish home and named it Goldie, like every other kid in the world who thought they were being original. But it turned out that Goldie was kind of original because Goldie didn't die. Even after all my classmates' fish had gone to the great fish bowl in the sky, Goldie was still alive. Still alive when I started kindergarten, still alive in the first grade, still alive in second grade, third, fourth, and finally last year in fifth grade. I went into the kitchen one morning and saw my fish floating upside down in the bowl. My mom groaned when I told her, "Oh, he didn't last very long," she said. "What are you talking about?" I asked. "He lasted 7 years." She gave me a smile and said, "Ellie, that wasn't the original Goldie. The first fish only lasted 2 weeks. When he died, I bought another one and put him in the bowl. There've been a lot of fish over the years." "What number was this one?" "Unlucky 13, she said with a wry look. "Well, they were all unlucky," I pointed out. We gave Goldie 13 a toilet bowl funeral, and I asked my mom if we could get a dog. So there you get an example of the kind of voice that you hear from Jennifer Holm. Well, I hope you enjoy learning about these books. I think the language, the plot, the character are really fascinating and fun, and I think your students will enjoy them. Until next time, thanks a lot.